Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching today. We are at the Cloud Expo 2011 in Manhattan. On our program, David Butler. He is the VP of Marketing at Eucalyptus Systems. And David, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rich. Great to be here.
So tell me a little bit about the company.
Sure. Eucalyptus is based in Santa Barbara, California. We offer the most widely deployed software platform for on-premise infrastructure as a service clouds. Essentially what that means is Fortune 100, Fortune 2000 really, and Global 2000 companies that want to migrate from their virtualization platforms into a more formal infrastructure as a service cloud, very similar to what they can use from Amazon for EC2. We give them their own private Amazon behind their own firewall on-premise. So it's a way to really implement true cloud infrastructure as a service. We have, close to 60 people in the company. We're selling our product worldwide, and we've been celebrating over 25,000 clouds that have been started globally across the world. So customers can download our product. We have an open source development version and start to experiment with infrastructure as a service and go from there. So we've been around for 3 years.
So tell me the benefits of private versus public clouds.
Sure. Private gives you, as I like to think of it, as visibility, trust, and control. In many cases, enterprises want to have complete visibility into what's underneath their cloud, what's in their infrastructure for servers and virtualization, be able to move things around, and be able to know that they can handle the demand of programs and programs that need extra capacity, extra storage. It gives you the trust because you have all of the security at your fingertips, and it gives you the control because you can really reconfigure things at will. So there's a little bit more visibility and trust and control in the private cloud. On the same token, if you want to take advantage of a public cloud and you want to have everything totally outsourced, that's okay too for some folks because they just don't have enough equipment, they don't have enough capacity, they don't have enough storage. So I think it's really in that vein. The private clouds are very similar. In our case, we're very similar to EC2. It's just that you can find out what's going on underneath the cloud, so to speak, is the way I look at it. You can secure it, you can configure it, and you own kind of the way that it's architected.
So you have more control over outages, I guess, I would imagine, right? Because it's your own. You can call up and yell at someone that works for you.
That's right.
As opposed to calling up. I mean, in some cases, some vendors are inaccessible when they have an outage. They have a web page for you, and you just get that web page, and it's up when it's up, right?
It's up when it's up, and I mean, you can plan for outages in the
Sure.
public clouds.
Of course you can, yeah.
But in general, we sell to infrastructure architects and infrastructure managers, and they have a lot of equipment, they have a lot of capabilities, and what they're trying to do is just get more efficiency out of that.
Right.
So that's the real motivation for the private cloud.
Now, does the efficiency also get us to a point where they're able to take their private cloud and use hybrid services from public and private with maybe some data which, in some cases you've got peak volume situations around holidays, for example, if you're an e-tailer and you have your private cloud and let's say around December time frame you have 10 times the normal traffic and you can just scale to the public cloud as needed. I mean, do you see that happening?
Yes, we definitely do. In fact, we have a couple of customers, one wetpaint.com out in California and puma.com on the East Coast. Both have that situation where they have specific programs and content that drives up traffic. So they'll be able to set up elasticity to handle that demand within their private cloud, but in some cases they'll build a hybrid cloud. And so they can burst, as they say, up to Amazon.
Sure. One
of the things that's unique about Eucalyptus is we have complete compatibility with Amazon and EC2. So they can set up a configuration on Amazon, and for that month of, let's just say, December or during the Christmas season, they know they're going to use some extra capacity up in Amazon and be able to burst up and use that. In fact, today at the show, we announced a solution for hybrid clouds to make it easier to manage and easier to get started, so customers can use RightScale's MyCloud, which we announced a Eucalyptus Fast Start program. So essentially what this is if you want to have one management solution for both your public and your private solution, you can use RightScale to do that and use Eucalyptus to manage your kind of flexing and dealing with the capacity. And that's really the advantage of having compatibility with a public cloud. Not everybody has that.
Now, if you look out at the market, what's the biggest barrier to companies working with you? Because it sounds like it's a natural for, you said Fortune 2000 companies, right? I mean, it sounds
Basically.
like a natural for companies that that don't want to go 100% to a public cloud.
Right.
They want to experiment with their own, or they want to keep as much as possible within their organization. And like you said, they want to drive efficiency. What's the reason that you don't have 100% market share?
It's early days, so I think a lot of customers are still, there's a couple of evolutionary steps that customers go through. One is getting a virtualized set of resources is really the first step before you do the cloud. So what
Okay.
that means is virtualizing your servers, virtualizing
Okay.
your networks and storage. So customers are still going through that process. And also setting up the right roles. So the people side of this is a little bit different in that how you set up motivation for how users will use self-service services and how they get paid, how they get charged back,
Right.
how they get billed. So I think the industry goes through every 3 or 4 years some minor changes, and every 10 years some major changes.
Right.
This is a major one. So there's some evolutionary steps, but I would think of it as virtualization first, and then getting the right people and processes in place so that they can really get this used across the company effectively, get people to be comfortable with it. It's much less of a technology issue at the infrastructure level today than it ever has been before. The next really frontier is what they call platform as a service and really application as a service, and that's still out even in front of us. So that's where you're setting up databases as clouds and more formally. But at our level, the virtualization is the thing. It's really the only thing that would hold people back at this point.
Now, if we can also, I just want to go through this overview for 1 second in terms of the things that companies gain. One of the things that they gain, as I see it, is that in today's enterprise, you have an application and then you have to manage the servers for that application. And I mean, we're really in an application-centric world, whereas what's going to happen in the future with private clouds is that you have this cloud that expands. Obviously, applications will still run there, but you just have the ability to more holistically manage the expansion of your various applications and actually share the computing as needed between all of your applications, which, I mean, part of that is virtualization, which allows that, but a more holistically managed, virtualized data center where you can determine which apps are on using which resources to maximize your total resource, I guess, allocation, or your total
Right.
resource database or
Capacity.
Capacity, right? It's the word I was looking for. Thank you. So that's really what we're getting at here, right? So I mean, we're talking about just driving more and more efficiency out of single computers and really ganging them together and then managing them in a
Like a service.
exactly right.
What
And
the
so
what the true holy grail is of cloud is the focus becomes, instead of these stovepiped, like you said, apps and a server. You get that, apps and a server. Everything becomes more of a service. So when it's a service, it's shareable, it's self-service. You get to pick. So like if you go to Starbucks, you want cappuccino and you don't want it, with milk. You want it with soy or whatever. So you basically get a configuration of applications, but they become more of a service, and you expect a certain level of quality with a
Sure.
service. It should be up. You may only want to use it for one day. You may want to use
Sure.
it for the weekend. So I think the transformation here is, how does IT change how people use it and what it provides to be more of a service? And it's this consumer-provider relationship that gets established.
and you have this bursting capability, which is amazing because now you don't have to buy new servers, but you can just burst as you need to the open internet. I mean, if you decide that you want to do that. But you also have the ability, if you decide not to burst, to limit the amount of processor utilization of some applications versus other applications. You could slow down the web browsers, for example, if you decide, or you could put top priority on the web browsers.
That's exactly right. And where the efficiency comes in on that is all that can be automated now. So before, you could do some of this, but you'd have to have a lot of smart people around working at management consoles and everything. When you put in the extra cloud layer, it can do all this dynamically.
So it's like a single dashboard, because like you just mentioned, having all these really smart people working for you, well, one of them leaves and you have to find another person that understands the console, and then they've got to coordinate with the team and say, hey, I'm adding more capacity here, you need to dial back here, otherwise we're going to have contention issues. I mean, okay, so this is a transformational time in computing where we're going to see massive efficiency squeezed out of every piece of hardware.
That's exactly right. It's as our CTO says, it raises the abstraction level. So now you're working with
Sure.
resources, you're not working with hardware.
To some degree, I mean, this is the kind of really cool thing to me is that Google's advantage to some degree over the last 10 years has been their ability to abstract their hardware and their ability to rapidly scale any application to be a global service overnight. I mean, obviously Amazon
exactly
gives you
right.
some of that as well, but now every company is going to have that same sort of, well, I guess the advantage that Google alone used to have. Now every company can have a similar kind, not exactly because the applications are not the programming languages are not abstracted, but the cloud. Now
That's
we've
right.
got this abstraction layer in the cloud, and so that kind of helps.
Well, they can make their apps work like Google, and they can make their IT systems work like Amazon behind their firewall. I mean, that's kind of a good way to summarize it. I mean, everybody likes the way that Amazon's really the model in our mind for how clouds can work. But when you want to put it in your company and you want a search app like Google that's just kind of work worldwide and powerful, that's what people are trying to achieve.
That's great.
We don't do everything. We are the infrastructure as a service layer. That's one of the foundational pieces. I like to think of it as the cloud engine. So, it's a cloud machine and the cloud engine, and everybody's going to need one of those.
Thanks for being on the program, Dave. It's great.
Thanks, Rich.
Great to meet you.